whispers of so many souls. Now I know I've got to go. It's not a feeling that you can hide, but keeps you thinking all about the other side. I miss the passion, oh, I miss the heat. Now I know there's no escape from the soul of the city.
Hey folks, welcome to the Mid-Ohio Rock Show. I am Tommy Barnes, and I gotta tell you, it's very seldom that you see me wearing sports stuff, even though I love my Cleveland Indians and the Cleveland Browns and the Buckeyes and everything like that. But a guy I get to work with every day at the radio station wears this kind of stuff every single day. And the last time we actually had this cat in here was when we had Eliot Lewis in back in January of earlier this year. And I just wanted to introduce Mr. Ed from Y100 and 98.3.
Hey, thanks.
Go Tribe!
Go Tribe. Yeah, I was ready for you, Tommy. I was carrying my Indian shirt and hat just as normal there.
I know.
Now, we just got to get Eliot to play more often in our area, because I think the last time Eliot played in my hometown of Shelby, Travis Hafner hit a home run to win the game right in the middle of a song. It was quite fun to watch, actually.
Yeah, you know, and since the Browns have been doing so bad this year, and I guess it's time for baseball. You know, speaking of baseball, folks, I just want to mention real quickly, about the time you're watching this episode, Cleveland Indians, Ed, have got their snow days up there one more time. They've got the big skating rink and the slides and all that stuff, so
I think
talking
we're
about the
toboggan.
Tribe.
Yeah, me and you would just go get a toboggan over there.
I don't know if I'm quite ready for the snow or not.
All right, me neither.
But hey folks, I tell you what we want to do is welcome in for the second time to the Mid-Ohio Rock Show. Season number 2 is Eliot Lewis. Of course, Eliot Lewis for many years, as Ed and I know, was the lead singer of...
Well, he was singing in the Average White Band, and then he, of course, plays with Hall and Oates now. And then, now he's got some solo stuff, Tommy. Man, we got to talk about some of that solo stuff he's got going on.
Well, before we do that, folks, here's a guy that has been basically just traveling all over the place. He was in Japan earlier this year, hanging out in Hawaii with Todd Rundgren for an episode of Live from Daryl's House, which we're going to get into. But yesterday, which was Monday, November 14th of 2011, this guy was where, Ed?
You know, he's with Howard Stern, folks. And if you know anything about Howard Stern, it takes a lot of guts to be hanging out with Howard Stern, because he might ask you a question, and Eliot found that out.
Yeah, he sure did. So, folks, once again, welcome to the Mid-Ohio Rock Show, Mr. Eliot Lewis. Eliot, thanks a ton for joining us today.
Oh, it's my pleasure, man. It's great to see you guys. Great to be back here.
Quite a transition, man, from New York City to Mansfield, Ohio to the Mansfield Studios, would you say, from Howard Stern to a bunch of local guys just trying to pump up the music scene.
It is. It's a little bit of a blur. I was in rough shape for a couple of days. There was not a lot of sleep, but I'm feeling much better today.
You know, obviously people get to listen to Howard on the radio,
Yeah.
on satellite and stuff. Just talk about the experience, you know, from really the moment you walk in the door to the moment you walk out the door.
Well, as you can imagine, it's a really, really early day. So I was up at 5:30, which is not normal for any musician on this planet. So there was a severe lack of sleep going on. But it was, I had actually been in that building a few times, because we had done a couple of Sirius XM concerts there. And the last one, as soon as I walked in, I remembered, oh yeah, I think Dave Matthews was there and Dr. John, that's what I remember. So his associate, Gary Delabonte, Baba Booey, came out, and I remember meeting him the last time we were there. And you know, it's a big radio station, and everybody is very cool, and we walk into his room after being in the green room for a little while, and we did our little, we only had about 15 minutes to sort of do our little sound check, get our sound together, because, you know, they had that commercial thing going on, so we had a really specific time in order to get the sound check. So Daryl was having a little trouble with his headphones, and if you heard the beginning of the interview, you hear him kind of like a little frustrated that we didn't have a lot of time to get the sound where he wanted to, and he didn't realize that we could actually play without the headphones, because he really hates wearing headphones. So so then it went on, and you know, we interviewed Daryl for a while and talked about the usual things, Lyme disease and what he was up to, and You know, I have listened to Howard Stern on and off for years, and I hadn't listened to him in a while, but I had listened to him a few years ago, so I'm pretty familiar with what he does and who he is. And he actually, I thought he was a little more toned down than he used to be. Not quite as edgy, but still, if you've never heard him or experienced him, it's a whole different world. So, but then halfway through the hour-long interview, he sort of turned the mic on me and introduced the band, and I happened to be first up. So all of a sudden, I'm getting a mini interview from Howard Stern, which I thought was pretty bizarre.
Was he fairly relentless with you, asking if
He
you liked
could
the
have
Ross or
been.
anything
He could
like
have
that?
been. I think the first thing he asked me, but it was almost in a series of questions that I think he asked me is, how was Daryl to work for? Is he a pain in the ass or something like that? And I was about to start answering, but then he would go on to another question. So, but it was pretty cool. I was able to talk a little bit about what I do and, you know, a little bit about my background and stuff for a minute.
So is he a pain in the ass?
What's that?
So is he a pain in the ass?
He can be. You know, the thing about Daryl is if you don't know him and you see him in certain situations, you think he could be. I mean, he's certainly an intense person to be around sometimes, but that really comes out of his being around him enough. You sort of know he's really just passionate about what he does. He loves and he puts everything that he's got into his music. So it's fairly intense sometimes. You know, and I think he expects the people that work around him and work for him to sort of live up to that sort of standard.
Hey boys and girls, welcome to another episode of Ronnie's Rock Ball. Today, got a bass here. Actually, this is the first bass that Leo Fender actually built in 1950. And before he could actually put his name on it, I snuck it out the back door. And actually bought this at Fast Tracks Music back in the 80s, Rated X era. Another one of those Rated X guitars. Actually, I believe at one time actually had a Crestline name on it. I don't really remember. And Marzio pickups. But I owned the bass, and then I sold it to Larry at the time when some point Rated X, and then I bought it back. And I do remember an incident when I owned it one time. I come walking into the party house on a jam night, and I see Larry up on stage, and he's just standing there, and I hear a kick there, boom, boom, and I look down, and the bass is laying on the stage, and Larry's playing with his foot. And I got a chuckle at that, but even though it was my bass. But anyway, I took it to California, and Larry came out there, ended up buying it back from me again, and then he moved back to Ohio, and I bought the bass back again, so I still have it to this day. But it's an interesting little jazz copy, so another one for the rock ball. See you next time.
Never needed reminding where it all started from. On that day, there wouldn't be no turning back. Oh no. In a flash it came to me. I had to jump on that train, and it took me for a one-way ride. You carried me all through my life. Now I hit the ground running, and knew I'd never stop. All that I remember, I had to work until I dropped. Banging on the drum was opening the lock. They started at the house on the corner of the block.
You know, when we met met you back in January, the whole thing with Live from Daryl's House was really starting to gain some wheels. It was about probably what, Ed? I think you actually turned me on to the show initially once a month, wasn't it?
Yeah, once a month. And I have to be honest, the guy that turned me on was my good buddy Sam Romanelli telling me about Monty Montgomery. He was one of my favorites.
Oh yeah, okay.
And then I was watching it, and next thing you know, I see Eliot Lewis. Next thing you know, we're going, hey, wait a minute, he's going to be in Mansfield. I just saw him on a computer.
And you know, I just played with Monty again. I had sat in with him because he comes to my area every once in a while. There's a beautiful little theater literally 5 minutes down the road from me. And so about a year and a half ago, in fact, it was the day Michael Jackson died. I remember that because he's the one who told me, that came across his phone. So I had sat in with him back then, but just a couple of months ago, I opened up for him at the same theater. So yeah, he's amazing. I don't know, Ronnie, have you checked him out? He's an incredible guitar player. He's scary good.
Well, the show has gone from what was once a webcast once a month, and now all of a sudden, I believe WGN out of Chicago picked it up, our local affiliate. WMFD? Yeah, WMFD TV here in Mansfield actually carries the show. And when is that on now? Is it a weekly, bi-weekly?
It's a weekly show, yeah. It's a weekly show. In most of the country, it's, as far as I know, it's weekends. For me, it's Saturday night. So it's a little bizarre because before coming here, I've been home doing some more like writing and stuff, but I've been doing local gigs in my area on the weekends. So it's like weird. I come home from a gig and I'll turn the TV on and the show is just coming on. I'm like watching myself, which is really bizarre. So it's late night. You know, in my area it's like 1 in the morning. Comes on just after Saturday Night Live. So I think it ranges, but most of the country is kind of late night weekends.
You know, you were talking about your new stuff and writing the songs, and you know, earlier for us, you played us some great stuff that's going to be on an album that's coming out next year.
Yeah.
But you've got, how many albums you got now?
Technically, I have 4. But I sort of view the past 2 as more official records. The first 2 were kind of warm-ups. But there are 4 official records out there. And, you know, we're working on a new one right now.
Do you find that the travels that you're doing are starting to inspire you more, that you're going to get yourself on a rotation of an album every year or so?
Absolutely. That's been my plan for a long time, is I sort of, you know, have that sort of creative element in me that I'm always thinking about songs. You don't always have the time to actually construct them, but I'm in that mode now where I sort of discipline myself, even when I'm traveling and touring with Hall and Oates and stuff, to always have whatever, my gear, some guitar and a laptop, so I can always be producing something. So it takes a little discipline, but that is my goal, to really have an output of 1 CD a year.
So where has your music evolved now from the first few albums to what you're at now? I mean, is it becoming more guitar-oriented?
It is definitely more guitar-oriented, because I think my first record, for instance, was when I was still very much with Average White Band. And that soul and funk is a big part of what I love musically. But I found being a part of that band so integral that my music was influenced a lot by that band. And then when I broke free of that, and because I don't really write with Daryl and John, I'm not musically, you know, tied to them, I was able to be just free and figure out really what I wanted to do and what I really love. So my record started evolving into this place that it is now. Obviously more guitar focused, and you know, it's like a mixture of rock, blues, and soul. So it's a little bit more defined now, and keep going in that direction, adding a little bit more blues, and it just seems to be happening naturally. I'm not thinking, oh, I want to do the blues or something, but it's just sort of coming out a little bit in my playing.
If you feel cold, I warm you. When you feel you can't go on, I'll come and hold you. 'Cause it's you and me forever. Hi, Sarah, smile. Won't you smile a while for me, Sarah, please?
This must be some kind of way out of here. They said that you're to the beat. There's
too excited. We think they can't smoke. There are some people among us who feel that life is but a joke. You and I have been through that, and when it's not a thing, when the stars are falling down, it's getting later.
One of the things that one of the things that I find more interesting about you than just about anything is me and Tommy we're lucky. Let's face it, we get to meet a lot of interesting people. You being one of those, we find you to be one of the more interesting guys due to the fact that you're so humble and such a good musician, and you will fly down from New York City, visit Howard Stern one night, and come visit us the next day.
Yeah.
We appreciate that. But for a musician out there, tell them. If you're looking at to being a musician, about the right mindset. What kind of mindset do you need to be a person that plays music like you do?
Well, that's a pretty deep question. I think music is just something you gravitate to, and usually early on in your life. Not necessarily, but usually most of us get into music when we're really young. And it's one of those things that I think first and foremost is fun, because it's a creative outlet. And then if you pursue it and keep at it, then you have to figure out, all right, how do I make a career out of this? how do I actually do this for my life, you know, as a job? That is the challenge. But today it's almost easier, I think, for young aspiring musicians to figure out, because there's the internet, there's internet access, there's a million opportunities, though you don't have the sort of structure that we did in, say, the 80s in the record company structure, the business model. It's a lot more freeform today, but there's almost more opportunities, but you have to really love it. You have to really do a lot more work probably today than you could in the record company era.
Eliot, I would almost have to say that your first episode with us on the Mid-Ohio Rock Show has enabled you to market yourself to venues that you've done your solo projects with.
Definitely, yeah, because I mean, obviously I've been coming out to this area a lot, so, and you guys have this great show here that reaches this whole area and you know, out to all the musicians in this area as well. So it's been really helpful. So
Yeah,
I appreciate it.
Speaking of that, 81 countries actually, this show is seen
Wow.
around the world. So
That's great.
all we needed to do is go viral, and we'll take you all along for the ride.
Yeah. Well, I think what you guys do here is great. It's, first and foremost, it's a lot of fun. What your whole format is really about having fun and then showcasing some music and stuff. So I love it.
Well, we appreciate you coming out tonight.
Yeah.
Eliot Lewis, ladies and gentlemen, on the Mid-Ohio Rock Show. And make sure you check out EliotLewis.com. He's going to be playing all over the place. A great artist, a great person to know, and just a super guy to have in the studio. And like you, thanks for coming out tonight.
You know, I wore my Indian shirt just for Eliot.
I wore mine for you. So
Oh,
I
there
guess
you go.
We're
It's
coming
all
full
the-
circle here.
No, I tell you what, I concur. I tell you, Eliot Lewis. Let's hear it again for Eliot Lewis. And,
Thanks.
let's hear some more
Thank you.
music.
Thank you for having me.
Once again, folks, thanks for hanging out with us here at the Mid-Ohio Rock Show. I'm Tommy. He said, we got more to come, so don't click just yet.
Time keep on slipping into the future. Time keep on slipping into the future. Wanna fly like an eagle to the sea. Fly like an eagle to the Caribbean. There's a solution. These children living on the streets, hear the people with no shoes on their feet. Lots of people living on the streets. Oh, there's a solution. Gonna fly like an eagle to the sea. There's a solution, take us in it. Time keep on slipping into the future. Time keep on slipping into the